News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
It's now 4:05. Good afternoon. I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU local headlines as we begin KVNU's For the People show. Well, starting off in men's college basketball last night, the Utah State Aggies' historic season ended with that 78-66 loss to top seed Arizona in the second round of the NCAA tournament at Viejas Arena. Now, despite falling behind by 18 points early in the second half, the ninth-seeded Aggies mounted a resilient 21-7 run to cut the deficit to 4 with just 6 minutes, 34 seconds remaining. However, the Wildcats' dominant 54-26 rebounding advantage just proved too much to overcome as Arizona closed the game with a 12-5 run. Head coach Jared Calhoun talked about the team afterwards.
Today's landscape of college basketball is difficult to really, mesh the personalities. The personality of this team was really a team. Everybody put the team over themselves, and really proud of what this team accomplished. I think we all know we could have played better to get out rebounded by 28. I've never seen that stat in my life.
Now, fifth-year forward Garrett Clark paced Utah State with 13 points and 6 rebounds, while M.J. Collins Jr. added 12 points. The Aggies committed a season-low 4 turnovers, but they shot just 39.1% from the field. Utah State finishes the year 29-7, marking the third most wins in program history. Meanwhile, a vehicle fire over the weekend temporarily shut down traffic along Valley View Highway in both directions Saturday afternoon. According to the Logan City Fire Department, emergency crews were dispatched to the blaze along SR 30 near milepost 104 at about 5:30. Now, authorities temporarily closed both the eastbound and westbound lanes of the highway, causing some brief delays while firefighters worked to contain the fire and also clear the roadway of any hazards. Now, officials confirmed that no injuries were reported in connection with the incident and no other vehicles were involved. And a Sandy man in his 40s died after being shot by Sandy police officers during a domestic-related incident, according to authorities. Now, officers say they responded to the scene yesterday afternoon about 2 o'clock, and while attempting to speak with the suspect, who is believed to have been living at the residence, he reportedly pulled a weapon from his lower leg and charged at police. Now, officers fired their weapons, striking him multiple times. Police then immediately rendered medical aid, but the man died from his injuries. Now, no officers were injured during the altercation. The Sandy Police Department said the man was the only person directly involved in the shooting, and the incident remains under investigation. Well, we're going to continue to see temperatures staying right around the high to mid-60s today. Tonight, still clouds overnight and into tomorrow, as we'll start to see temperatures warming up a little bit. Mid-70s expected for Tuesday, high 70s coming on Wednesday as the clouds are going to move out of the area. And then we'll see mostly clear skies for the second half of the weekend. And weather this hour is brought to you by Bell Sculpt. They can help you get rid of the stubborn areas for good, sculpting your abs, arms, and thighs, and getting rid of that fat that sometimes diet and exercise just can't seem to get rid of. Call Bell Sculpt at their Bountiful office, 801-335-5388, or you can always get more info at bellsculpt.fm. And KVNU News Time is now 4:08. I'll have another check of local news coming up at the bottom of the hour. Coming up next, it's KVNU's For the People show with Jason Williams.
Do you have a nasty weed problem? We have the right person for you. Sir, you work for Logan Extermination, don't you? Can you help these folks get rid of pesky dandelions?
Of course I can help. I am the Terminator. I will terminate those little yellow devils in your yard. Call me at Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Spring special. Terminate your weeds and green up your yard for only $40, based on maximum 5,000 square foot or less.
Local news and the best talk. News Talk KVNU.
Look, let's clear something up. IV therapy, hormones, peptides, ozone, this isn't about luxury wellness. It's about function. This is Dr. Josh Red with Red River Health and Wellness, and we're expanding our services to include these advanced therapies that support how your body actually works. Low energy, inflammation, hormones, recovery, immune health. These treatments are used intentionally with medical oversight and integrated into our existing approach to whole body care. If you're tired of quick fixes and vague answers, this is something different. This is about supporting your health at a deeper level so you can feel better, think clear, and live stronger. Red River Health and Wellness, because your health deserves more than guesswork. Learn more or schedule a consultation at redriverhealthandwellness.com.
Call Red River Health and Wellness at 855-55-RIVER.
Call Red River today.
It's Truck Month at West Motor Company. And around here, buying a truck still starts with a handshake.
West Motor Truck Month.
For over 80 years, West Motor has been doing business the right way. Straight talk and serious savings. We're talking up to $12,000 off heavy-duty trucks and up to $11,000 off half-tons. Plus, get 0% financing on select Ford trucks. Ford, Ram, built to haul, built to work. And if West Motor doesn't have exactly what you're looking for, they'll find it.
West Motor Truck Month.
Come experience the West Motor difference.
KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU 610 AM 102.1 FM. Online at 610kvnu.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Monday, March 23rd. I'm Jason Williams. It is beautiful outside today. 64 degrees here at the Radio Ranch at 4:11 in the afternoon. We have a lot to get to on the show today. Updates from Governor Cox's monthly news conference that are still getting some conversation around the state due to his remarks on a controversial purchase of a warehouse in Salt Lake City by the Department of Homeland Security. We'll talk about what the governor had to say about a potential ICE detention center going in Salt Lake and what city officials have said about lack of contact ahead of the purchase from the federal government. So Governor Cox kind of trying to thread that needle. Also look ahead at our water situation coming in hour 2. Spoiler, not great at all. Actually kind of eyebrow raising. So your snowpack report or lack thereof coming up in hour 2. We're kicking things off here though in hour 1 with a very special guest, and we're hoping before the end of by the middle of next week we'll have had a chance to speak with all 3 candidates in what is now so we got to do a little background here. There was a resignation in the county attorney's position, which led to a process of a special election within the county GOP. Nomination of 3 names were sent along to the county council. The county council had their debate and vote and chose an individual to take the county attorney's position for the time being. And then the actual election begins because whoever took that position was going to have the option to run or not in the official race to replace the county attorney, which was going to happen anyway prior to the resignation announcement from the former county attorney. So that campaign gets underway now. It is likely headed to a June primary, followed by a general election that will be decided by voters here in Cache County in November. So, if throwing that out there in case people are wondering, why are we talking about the county attorneys as candidates again? Because didn't we just have one appointed by the council? Yes. But that was a special situation. This is now the regular situation. So joining us here in the studio in the first of our spotlights on the Cache County attorney candidates, we have in the studio with us, well, Chris, I'll let you introduce yourself to listeners out there. How long have you been campaigning now?
Well, since January 8th, I declared for my candidacy.
And this is just never going to stop, it seems like.
I think, Jason, it will stop.
You went from special election now to regular election.
Well, there was also, before the special election, there was an appointment of an interim replacement county attorney.
That's right. I forgot. So it actually goes back into the fall, right?
If you count gathering signatures and the convention and the other, there's like 6 different elections in this crazy cycle. But it will be over, I'm confident, on June 24th. The Republican primary is on June 23rd. There are 3 candidates right now in the race. Don't know how many will be on the ballot for the primary.
Sure.
But since there's no one declared other than the Republicans for this position, then that'll pretty much set it.
That'll be the deciding vote, probably.
Yes,
that
November
primary
will be anticlimactic.
Sure. And that is, again, the regular election that was going to happen anyway. So coming out of the special election and the appointment to the position by the county council, now this regular election process begins. And again, Chris Daines is here in the studio with us. You can connect with his campaign. I've linked to this on our Facebook page if you're driving now and can't write this down or have a memory like mine. It is Chris Daines, and that's spelled just as it sounds, D-A-I-N-E-S. Chris Daines 4, the number 4. Chris Daines for countyattorney.com. And he is seeking your vote in this, as he said, primary that will play out. And this primary is likely going to be when the decision for the next county attorney will be made. Whoever wins that primary will likely go on to win the general election and then assume the position for a full term next January. And this, Chris, you and I were talking before the show. This is a position that few people really understand what the county attorney actually does. We know when there's ever a high profile crime, we know the county attorney plays a large role in deciding whether charges will be brought, if there's a credible case to be made. We know that the county attorney works closely with the county council on planning for the future and funding for the office, but also looking at and analyzing, crime statistics for the county and things like that as we grow. But that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg, right, on this job?
Yes, it is.
So what makes you want to do the job?
I want to do the job because the turnover in this office has been horrific. I guess it's been a bit
high.
Well, because the term is supposed to be for 4 years, and because of a series of resignations, etc., that in the last 5 years, the head of that office has changed hands 6 times. That's a lot of turnover.
And
so
we should point out as well that is outside of the norm we see in other similar sized counties here in Utah.
Well, I think
by a lot.
Not only that, but the norm is 4 years because that's the term.
At least, right?
Yeah, and yeah, if you have a second term, then it's 8 years. So the first thing that I want to be clear about is that I'm going to stay. I am not going to resign. If I'm elected, I'll start January 6th of 2027, and I'll end, or if I'm not reelected, on January 4th of 2031. I'm just going to stay through the whole thing because the county and the office especially needs that stability.
Sure. You have to assume, we know, I work with businesses in my day job, and I know, high turnover is very expensive. It's far more expensive than retaining an employee. But in this office, of course, it has to affect planning to have leadership change this often.
Well, it's even more difficult than that. I honestly feel for the employees of the office, because having a new boss on average more than once a year, that's got to be rough.
Bit stressful.
But the other thing is that the different departments of the county that rely on the county attorney's office for advice, them having somebody new in the saddle as the head, as the leader,
getting to know someone new
more than once a year is also extremely disruptive. So that's honestly the main reason why I decided to throw in my name as county attorney.
Do you have, I'm sure you do, and I'm not, trying to set up a situation where we're, pointing fingers or rehashing anything, but do you have theories on why because we've seen this other areas in the county as well, high turnover, the clerk's office. Do you have theories on this? Is it something that can be fixed? Is it a pay issue? Are we just losing talent to higher paying counties, or?
I've heard that, and I do not agree that this is a pay issue. If you look at the pay for the county attorney, it's pretty high compared to other attorneys in the valley. Now, if you compare it to maybe other counties, maybe you can find somebody, but this is kind of like the issue of getting a football coach or a basketball coach in for university. It's like, how do I compare with other places?
Yeah.
But if I just look at how hard I've worked to earn what I earn, it's honestly, monetarily, it's not a bad gig. So I don't think that's it. But I do have, it's really hard to put your finger on it because I've gone back and figured out, okay, what happened with this one? I mean, the shortest term for a head of the office was 1 month long. That was back in 2021.
I forgot about that.
The next shortest term was 3 months, and the reasons for those changes were very different because John Luthi was the interim county attorney for 3 months in 2021, I think it was, and he was appointed to be the one of the judges on the Utah Court of Appeals. So that's a kind of a unicorn sort of a situation.
Sure, doesn't happen often
and can't be helped, right?
Sure.
But it's resignation after resignation after resignation. Beyond that, I think I'm not going to judge why people resign. I'm just going to say that I'm not going to.
You're not going to.
Yeah.
This is Chris Daines here in the studio with us. Again, he is a candidate for Cache County Attorney, coming out of the special election and the appointment by the county council of an official county attorney after a resignation announcement from the now gone county attorney. The election for the full term, which will start in January, now takes place. As Chris mentioned, we don't have to mince words here. Republicans generally win general elections in Utah. That's no surprise. So this is a race that will likely be decided in the June 23rd primary vote when registered Republicans get a chance to weigh in here in Cache Valley. So we're presenting the candidates to you so you can get to know them. If you do have a question or a comment for Chris, 753-5868. Stick around. More of For the People and our spotlight on Chris Daines, candidate for Cache County Attorney, right after this.
Get your furnace fixed. Call Gary Riggs. Get your furnace fixed. Call Gary Riggs. If you're having heating trouble and you need your furnace fixed, just pick up the phone and call Gary Riggs. 435-512-6633 will come to you. Our service fee is low, just $25. We repair all brands and have certified installers. Get your furnace fixed. Call Gary Riggs. Get your furnace fixed. Call Gary Riggs.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And if you have both Medicare and Medicaid, you may be eligible for a United Healthcare Dual Complete plan if your Medicaid status has changed. A Dual Complete plan may help you get more benefits than original Medicare alone. Visit uhcdualplans.com to learn more. That's uhcdualplans.com. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage you can count on.
Give your family everything. Give them your time. From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Chris Daines here in the studio with us. He is a candidate for Cache County Attorney now that the official election is underway after the special election is played out. That official election will be to choose an individual who will assume the county attorney position if elected in January of next year and serve a 4-year term. This will likely be decided, though, in the June primary, June 23rd. So we're getting to the candidates as early as we can. You can connect with Chris via his campaign website, which is Chris Daines ChrisDaines4countyattorney.com. And I've linked to that on our Facebook page if you're driving now and want to check into that later. You can also just simply search his name and the words For County Attorney, and you'll find him that way as well. He's agreed to join us here in the studio for our first candidate spotlight in this race. We'll hope to get to the other candidates within the next week, and still working on that. But Chris, you on your website, you lay out a whole bunch of different priorities, and we'll talk more about those, what priorities you would have in the county attorney's office if elected. But one of your campaign points that is getting a lot of attention, you in a video on your campaign website, you say Cache County is you believe facing a bit of a legal crisis. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Yes, and I hate to get into the weeds on this because this is very much an in the weeds kind of a thing, but I believe that under the Cache County Code, and I'll spare you the reference, that the office of what we've been calling the county attorney is actually called the Office of the District Attorney of Cache County, and that there should be a district attorney at a minimum. When the election and appointments have been made, they should have, if these two features of the office had been merged, they should have at least called it the county/district attorney.
Makes sense.
But without a district attorney, where we have what's called a county-wide prosecution district, that's where the connection is, then technically, and maybe not technically, and kind of scarily, then maybe they don't have the ability as county attorneys to prosecute, because the district attorney is a prosecutor. The county attorney under the code is the civil counsel for the county. Now that's
like an advisor of sorts, but with a legal expertise.
Traditionally, there have been two arms of the county attorney's office, the prosecution arm and the civil arm. And this change that happened over a year ago would say that the county attorney is supposed to do the civil and the district attorney is supposed to do the criminal. And I think there's a big problem there. But, I mean, a lot of people disagree with me on it. I'm kind of the voice in the wilderness, alone on this. But the point is that if there is a problem, as I suspect, then it should be fixed. But if the problem, and I hope there's not a problem, honestly, Jason, but if that problem isn't a problem, I'm confident there are other problems that have been occasioned by inexperience and turnover. A lot of things get lost, like the duty of the county attorneys to be a watchdog against corruption.
Sure.
That's a specific duty for the county attorney. And they've had some problems, and I'm not casting aspersions on anybody, at least in this race, to say that the state auditor's report back from 2023 identified that if there was corruption, it was right there in the county attorney's office.
It's the first time I've ever heard former state auditor John Dougal start to yell a little bit in an interview we did on that audit. He was a very calm, even-keeled man, and his voice started to kind of raise a little bit. It's a great segue into, obviously, the most important question we could ask a candidate for county attorney. As the valley grows, as crime changes in the valley, which we know will happen as our population grows, do you have a top 3 priorities list that, if elected in January, that you would start working on immediately as far as planning for the future, for the office and for the county?
Sadly, I think I'm maybe unique in this, of saying I want to stay within my lane.
You don't hear that often anymore.
No. And the county attorney's office and the county attorney, we don't make policy.
Sure.
And so
it was interesting during the debate. I had a chance to attend the debate. Sorry to interrupt, but this was such an interesting exchange because there was some disagreement over this between the three of you at that debate on this particular role of the county attorney's office. Does the county attorney go to the council and say, here's what the policy should say, or do they go to the council and say, here's what we can supply you with information-wise, and then you make the decision?
Or does the county council say to the county attorney, this is the policy we'd like to have. Tell us the best way legally to implement the policy.
Sure.
And honestly, I'm going to be responsive to those kinds of requests, and I'm not going to be pushing my own agenda because that's not what the position is for.
That was an interesting exchange to see, because that is a legitimate question of the role of the county attorney's office.
Right. But the other one is to make sure that things are running along in a constitutional and legal way. And that, corruption, and it's a very strong word, but it's like rust. It just kind of happens if things aren't attended to.
Sure.
And so my first priority is to make sure that everything that's happening in the county that I'm supposed to be watchdogging, for lack of a better term, is happening within the Constitution and legally. And then beyond that, to be really good at representing the council, at being an advocate not the council, the county government, but of being an advocate and being a counselor and to do the kinds of things that we as attorneys normally do.
Sure.
But it has to start, and I think there's been some neglect of this. It has to start with the basics.
Yeah, it's an important office facing a whole slew. In fact, this is a great maybe way for us to wrap up here today. What do you feel there are some? I'll rephrase it. I feel as I watch the Valley change and grow, I feel sometimes that certain cans are getting kicked down the road because they're maybe politically difficult or expensive. That's a good reason a can get kicked down the road. What do you feel the biggest challenges are coming towards the county in which the county attorney might end up being involved? And are we looking ahead deep enough on some of these issues?
Well, I do think that the county attorney's office is going to be there to help the county to give legal advice and representation all along the way on practically every issue that's up there. Not only to address problems as they arise, but to kind of be in a preventive mode to avoid problems that can be foreseen and to advise and to tell the council, hey, we've got this issue that's coming up and maybe you should look into this. But the problem is that responsibility for growth and even the budget of the county, that's just not the county attorney's responsibility. I think that if you keep things in their proper lane, constitutional and legal, you'll wind up spending less than you would if you're going out on some adventures, some policy side trips and vacations. Sure. I just think that's a recipe for spending a lot more money. And if we stay on our core governmental functions, it's going to be more efficient than if we start experimenting.
That's fair. This is final question here for you. On your campaign website, you've got a nice biography for those who want to listen or read it. So after 44 years in law, have you seen it all?
No.
Are you ever surprised anymore?
No. A lot of my practice, thanks for asking, is in the divorce area.
Sure.
Right now. And the truth is that I go into work every day excited because I know I'm going to face situations that I've never faced before, and I'm going to meet people and get to know people on a pretty deep level that I wouldn't have otherwise had the chance to know. And I got to tell you, it is exciting to get up in the morning and to say, I'm going to be challenged. You know, so a psychologist I know said, when our challenges are equal to our resources, we're in the flow. But if our challenges exceed our resources, we're overwhelmed.
We get stressed.
But if our resources exceed our challenges, we're bored. I want to tell you.
And that's when you get in trouble, right?
On both sides of that. But I feel in my practice now, after nearly 45 years, it'll be 45 on April 30th.
Wow.
That I am in the flow.
Really?
And I couldn't be happier doing what I'm doing.
That's admirable. It's I'm excited to see this play out. I love that we have, three very qualified candidates running for this race. I love that you running is drawing so much attention to the county attorney's office and the role of the county attorney and creating some of these debates. And for listeners, longtime listeners of the show know I love primaries. They are so healthy for parties. They are so healthy for candidates. Even, if they do sometimes get a little heated, it keeps everyone on their toes and everyone thinking about what their job is that they're running for. So, appreciate you filing to run and, appreciate taking some time to come in and talk to us today. We'll do this again before the primary comes and goes.
I hope so. And thank you for your involvement. I love to see you there at that debate. And it's good to see you again and to interact this way.
I always joke that I follow politics the way normal people follow sports.
Well, I'm a policy wonk too.
Chris Daines, candidate for county attorney here in Cache Valley. Connect with his campaign again at Chris Daines 4 County Attorney, and that is the number 4 I've linked to that on our website as well. Chris Daines, 4countyattorney.com. Thanks to Chris for being here. Thanks to our listeners for being here. Stick around. We'll find out what the governor had to say about a proposed ICE detention facility in Salt Lake at his monthly news conference right after this look at local news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. A 33-year-old American Fork man died over the weekend after a suspected base jumping accident happened in the Rock Canyon Park area, according to Provo police. Now, authorities have identified the victim as Wesson Huff, an experienced skydiver who was recreating alone. Now, first responders say they were dispatched to the canyon Saturday afternoon around 1 o'clock following reports of a fatal fall from a large rock face. Now, investigators believe that Huff was attempting a base jump and likely experienced some sort of parachute malfunction. Now, Provo police temporarily closed the canyon and trailhead to conduct an investigation. Department spokesperson Jana Lee Holland reminded the public of the inherent dangers associated with outdoor recreation in the rugged area, noting that the location has seen several fatalities over the years. Now, the police department also extended their sympathies to Huff's family and loved ones. And for the first time in years, the facade of the iconic Salt Lake Temple is now fully visible after the removal of surrounding scaffolding and the South Tower construction crane. Now, officials for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints announced the milestone on Friday, marking a significant step in the extensive renovation that began back in December of 2019. Now, alongside the exterior reveal, crews also recently installed new artwork depicting scenes from the life of Jesus Christ at the entrance of Temple Square. Now, originally slated as a 4-year project, the structural and seismic renovations are now expected to conclude later this year. Now, the church has already announced it will be holding a public open house that will begin next April and run all the way through October of 2027. Now, that'll allow visitors the opportunity to go inside the historic building before it is rededicated. And authorities in Moab are searching for individuals responsible for vandalizing ancient petroglyphs in the Tusher Tunnel area. Now, it's suspected to have possibly been a Baja racing team. Now, the Grand County Sheriff's Office announced last night that they are actively investigating the defacement of the historical site. Now, according to the agency, a Baja race team appears to have handwritten advertising and contact information directly on the rock wall alongside the centuries-old rock art. Now, law enforcement officials emphasize that damage to historical and cultural resources is a severe offense, and the Sheriff's Office is urging anyone with information about the vandalism or the specific racing team involved to contact the agency and assist with the investigation. Well, these clouds are going to continue to linger into tomorrow as temperatures been in the mid-60s today. Tonight will drop into the mid to low 40s, and then we'll be back into the low 70s for tomorrow. Clouds are going to continue tomorrow, but then start to move out of the area, and by Wednesday, we're going to see some sunny skies, temperatures warming up into the mid to high 70s, and then staying sunny through the rest of the week. And weather this hour brought to you by Valley Recycling. They'll pay you cash for metal, copper, aluminum, steel, old cars, or old appliances, giving you a chance to recycle and get a little extra money. It's Valley Recycling, 145 North, 10th West in Logan. And I'm Will Feelright for KVNU News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. TSA officers working without pay during the partial government shutdown continue to call out. President Trump now sending ICE agents to more than a dozen airports to help deal with long lines. Border Czar Tom Homan on their possible roles.
What I see ICE agents doing is helping TSA plug the holes of security. For instance, I mentioned they can work exit lanes and relieve TSA officers from that duty and put that TSA officer back on the x-ray machine. And when you go to the airport, you show identification before you get to the x-ray machine. Maybe they can do that.
President Trump says ICE agents can also still carry out immigration enforcement. Conflicting comments about the Iran war leading to wild swings for oil prices today. President Trump signaled talks are underway between the U.S. and Iran to end the war, something Iran denies. Tonight, the Senate expected to take a full vote on the nomination of Senator Mark Wayne Mullen for Homeland Security Secretary. This is ABC News.
This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance, and we are now Alera Group. This is great news for you. Now you have more choices and strength of a top national broker in your corner with our local personal service. Every situation is unique. Now we can tailor coverages from deductibles and limits to risk management, so it fits you even better. Let's compare options and tighten your program. Same friendly faces, same local office. Call 435-752-0101.
Bringing Wall Street to Main Street. From your local experts in downtown Logan, this is the Adams Wealth Advisors Market Report.
Good afternoon. This is Mitch Green with Adams Wealth Advisors. This week started off with a sharp rebound in stocks. A social media post from the U.S. president stating that the U.S. and Iran had a very productive conversation over the weekend about de-escalation suggested a dialing down of military action in the Middle East. Although Iran later disputed whether truce talks had taken place, the market reacted positively, as many analysts have stated that further escalation could be politically expensive for the current administration. All major U.S. indices ended the day in the green, and oil prices took a deep dive. The Dow Jones Industrial Average soared 631 points to 46,208, while the NASDAQ and S&P 500 both gained more than 1% to 24,189 and 6,581. Every sector ended the day higher in the broad-based rally. The bond market also cheered on. Both the U.S. 5-year and 10-year Treasury yields slipped by 4 basis points to 3.97% and 4.35%. Gold continued its sell-off and is down more than 3.5%, reaching the $4,400 mark. This is among the hardest one-week sell-offs in gold in much of modern history. Without meaningful economic data, we turn our attention to speeches from Federal Reserve officials that took place over the weekend and today. On Saturday, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell lauded the policy record of the late Fed Chair Paul Volcker, who famously raised interest rates and sparked a recession to tame the high inflation in the 1970s. Austin Goolsbee, the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, also took a hawkish tone on monetary policy. Fed Governor Stephen Miran, who worked for the White House under the president until his confirmation to the Fed board, continued to hold his outlook of 4 rate cuts in 2026. There will be some manufacturing reporting tomorrow, and we'll continue to bring you updates on the latest market events. Thank you.
That's your update from Adams Wealth Advisors, guiding your financial future one day at a time. For personalized help planning yours, reach out to us at 435-752-1702. See you soon, Cache Valley. Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com.
I swear, every dad thinks the thermostat is a personal challenge. You turn it up, 5 minutes later, he turns it down. If you're warm, he's losing. You know what I'm talking about, right? But here's the thing. Dad might not be wrong. You might just need better insulation. Call Cardall's Insulation. Honestly, most homes are not adequately insulated. Cardall's uses high-performance insulation that stops cold drafts and keeps your home warm so you don't have to blast the furnace. Call Cardall's Insulation at 755-5012 and call a truce with Dad, 755-5012.
If you live in Box Elder County, help for ear, nose, and throat issues just got a whole lot closer. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat is now open in their new Brigham City location. With over 75 years of combined provider experience, Dr. Jackson Deere is ready to care for allergies, asthma, sinus problems, hearing loss, and more. Finally, Cache Valley ENT in the Brigham City community at 990 South Medical Drive next to the Brigham City Hospital. Call 753-7880 to schedule or visit CacheValleyENT.com. Cache Valley ENT. Trusted care now in Brigham City.
She lives for me, says she lives for me, ovation. Oh, motivation, she comes out and she goes for me. And I'll make you smile like a drug for you. Do ever what you want to do, come
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Thanks again to Chris Daines for stopping by. He is a candidate for Cache County Attorney. I know this is confusing. It feels like we just did this, right? We did. But that was a special election to replace the outgoing county attorney who announced that he would be resigning the position effective February 8th. So the Cache County Republican Party, hats off to Natalie Levi, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. As chair of the party, I hope Republicans appreciate how organized she is. Because as chair of the party, not only has she helped me stay in contact with all the candidates so that we can get them here in the studio for spotlights like this, she's also organized debates, and there are some coming up. There are more events this week. She has done a lot of work to make sure the candidates have had a chance to meet, obviously with delegates during the special election as it played out in February and March here. But now that that's done, she's also organizing events for the general public to get out and meet these candidates in person. It has been a long time since I've seen a county chair go this far above and beyond to get candidates into rooms full of people. And so I appreciate those efforts. I wish every county party chair of every party put that much work into it, because the more we all talk about this and get to know the candidates, there's a sort of secondary and almost more important benefit, which is it reminds people there's actually an election afoot and that they need to check their registration and more. So, speaking of that, April 1st is a deadline for changing your party affiliation. One of the reasons I mention that is that here in Utah, in primaries, if you want to vote, if there is ever a case where the Democrats have a primary, like they will for the congressional race in Utah's new 1st district. We used to be the 1st district. Now we're the 2nd district. They took that number from us and gave it to Salt Lake City. I'm actually a supporter of this because I think that gerrymandering is bad. And I do think that there's a justifiable reason that there's enough people that live in the blue part of the state. It's pretty easy to justify Utah having a congressional district that is held by a Democrat. I also understand why this is controversial and why the Utah GOP is fighting it. That's their job as a party, to fight things like this through the signature gathering effort to repeal Proposition 4 passed in 2018 that created the independent redistricting that gave us this new map. So I'm not complaining about any of this. I actually support it. I think it's healthy for Utah, including the Utah Republican Party challenging or attempting to get on the ballot a question of repeal. This is all healthy. But the reason I bring this up is that it has made things really confusing. On top of this, you have the legislature constantly, and now this I'm not supportive of, the legislature is constantly changing the rules. I feel like every year for the past 6, they have made some change to our election process that requires voters to know a different thing or a different, and some of them are good, making changes to signature verification on ballots, the way this will work going forward. And I believe this starts, don't quote me on this, I'll double check, but I believe it starts with this June primary. Your ballots will actually require you to sign and have your signature match your signature on file with the state elections office, but also include 4 digits of a verifying number, driver's license or social security, I think are the 2 options, for registered voters. But back to this primary, if Democrats have a primary like they do in the Salt Lake County area, they will, their primaries are open. Any registered voter, whether you're registered Republican, Democrat, independent, unaffiliated, Constitution Party, Green Party, the new Forward Party, you can be registered as any of those and still you have to request it, and then cast a ballot in a Democratic primary. In Republican primaries, they are closed, which means only registered Republicans can request, get a ballot and mail back in a ballot to vote in, or vote in person at a drop box or on election day in a Republican primary. So if you are currently unaffiliated or registered Democrat, registered Independent American, Forward Party, Green Party, Constitution Party, and you would like to weigh in on this county attorney race, which, as Chris mentioned during his candidate spotlight there correctly, will likely be decided June 23rd in the primary. The next county attorney, unless there is some huge upset in the general election, I haven't seen that a Democrat has filed to run. Could happen still. I have not. So this is going to be decided June 23rd, just practically speaking, in a Republican primary. So again, only registered Republicans can vote in those primaries. So if you want to vote for the person that is likely going to become the next county attorney here in Utah, you want to make sure you are affiliated as a registered Republican by April 1st, or by end of business day, April 1st. So that is, again, a new rule thanks to the legislature. They like to make things difficult. This comes right on the heels of, in the November election, of course, for the first time, we played with the rules from last legislative session, in which the postmark date for your ballot is no longer what counts. Your ballot has to be received by county clerk staff or elections office staff in larger counties by the end of election day, by 8 p.m. on election day. So voters now have to kind of do the math and guess on when their local post office will get their ballot to the county clerk's office. So generally, the rule is if you mail your ballot Friday before, you're good. Saturday before, you're taking a chance. Monday before, your ballot might get there, but odds are higher your ballot will get there too late and not be counted. So drop boxes are your best friend, and they're at every city office in the valley. You drive past at least 3 on your daily commute. So there's changes to the rules are complex. We can still deal with it. I throw all this out there just because, again, these turn out to be low turnout elections, and most likely all odds are that the next county attorney for Cache County will be chosen on June 23rd. A general election will then play out. If opposition parties candidates file to run, there will be a general election ballot in which a vote will still happen, but it's Utah. Republicans win. So the Republican nominee, which will be chosen on June 23rd, will most likely end up becoming the next Cache County attorney. You've heard from Chris Daines. A week from today, we'll actually speak to Dane Murray, and I'm still waiting to confirm, hopefully sometime in between then, we'll speak with the other candidate in the race. By the way, if you want to get to know all these candidates, Cache Valley Daily has some great coverage of all of these candidates. It is this will, I think, will go down in history as the longest county attorney race ever, because the same candidates also ran in the special election. So it's technically been going on since January, but as of the special election and nomination of names to the county council and then their vote, Dane Murray has assumed the role as county attorney after the council's appointment, and he's also a candidate for the full term, which would begin in January, playing out in this June primary and November general election. So we'll speak with Dane Murray a week from today. Chris Daines today, Dane Murray a week from today. Sometime in between then, hopefully, we'll include Brett Chambers in the mix. He's the third candidate in this race. So also want to point this out. It's almost a cliche to say at this point, and you hear it every election. It's like most important election ever. Like the municipal races last year, this is, I think, one of the most key times in my lifetime for these local races, because it's not that there are huge scandals that we're dealing with, or a big crisis that needs new leadership to fix. I mean, there are, I think, some things that you could call a crisis. Growth is definitely feeding a lot of that. Sometimes, lack of kicking of cans to avoid, politically thorny decisions being made by some city councils and the county council at times. But overall, I think, business is going pretty well in cities and the county business here in Cache Valley. But growth alone is going to change so many things. We all experience and discuss growth as it affects our roads, our daily commutes, water, housing, disappearing open space and agricultural areas, turning into subdivisions and townhomes. That's how we experience growth on a day-to-day basis, understandably. But what is also going to change as we grow as a valley is crime's going to change. That will affect the county attorney's office. the volume of crime, even if crime doesn't get much more serious in its nature here in Cache Valley, the incidents, this is just a statistical reality. If the population goes up 60%, which is the projection for Cache Valley by 2040, there's going to be more crime. Maybe not worse crime, but even if it's not worse, the crime we have is going to also increase 60%. Again, statistical reality as population grows and gets more dense. That's going to make it more expensive to, run a sheriff's office, to fund the jail, to, the staff of the county attorney's office is likely going to have to grow. Now, of course, with new residents, you have new revenue, and the theory is that, rising tides, everybody's okay. I do think that we're going to have some hard discussions over the next 10 years, maybe 5, about budgets and about where money is going, and probably in the end about taxes in the valley. The people you chose for your municipal races last year and the people you will choose in any county races that play out this year are going to be the people that do the planning that kind of dictates what options we have 10 years from now when this really hits. So please get to know the candidates and cast a vote. We'll be back right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
There are moments that shape a lifetime. From first plans to first steps, backyard throws to big wins. And for the biggest decisions, who you choose matters. Where life starts, home begins. Bank of Utah Home Loans. Find out how Bank of Utah can serve you by going to bankofutah.com. Bank of Utah is an equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS number 422914.
It's Truck Month at West Motor Company. And around here, buying a truck still starts with a handshake.
West Motor Truck Month.
For over 80 years, West Motor has been doing business the right way. Straight talk and serious savings. We're talking up to $12,000 off heavy-duty trucks and up to $11,000 off half-tons. Plus, get 0% financing on select Ford trucks. Ford, Ram, built to haul, built to work. And if West Motor doesn't have exactly what you're looking for, they'll find it.
West Motor Truck Month.
Come experience the West Motor difference.
My husband had a gun. Him and his friends would go shooting. When he stored the gun, he didn't know. In a million years, we never thought that Emily could. There's a hole in our family that can never, ever be filled.
65 Americans a day die by gun suicide. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn more at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
It's a great comment from a listener here. A listener said that, they confess, and I think we've all done this. Listener said, I agree that it's important that we all, weigh in on these, especially Republican primaries, considering Republicans win the general elections here in Utah for the time being. But, for most people, the county attorney's office, what the county attorney's office does is really inside baseball. And so obviously they're going to be more inclined to vote and turn out when there's a president on the ballot, or, this November we might see higher turnout due to the midterm elections. The fact that we'll be getting to this later on in the coming weeks too, but we do actually have a primary in the congressional race here in District 2. Congressman Blake Moore running for re-election. We talked with him last week, and he's picked up a challenger, state lawmaker Carrie Ann Lisenby, not well known here in northern Utah, but from the Clearfield area, I believe. And so, that will generate more turnout. But you're right, county attorney's office, things like that are oftentimes inside baseball. Not everyone knows what the county attorney actually does. But I'm telling you, these local races, these folks are going to make decisions in their jobs, whoever is elected, in the next 5 years that in a lot of ways will dictate what it's like living in Cache Valley 10, 15 years from now, because the growth is coming fast. And so these local races matter. They always matter, but they matter so much more right now. So I get that it's inside baseball. I don't even know, really, every responsibility of the county attorney, but we need to get to know him really fast, and we'll do that here on the show. Again, thanks to Chris Daines for stopping by. Dane Murray, another candidate for county attorney and current county attorney, will join us next Monday. Sometime in between then, hopefully we'll speak with the other candidate in the race, Brett Chambers. Stick around. What Governor Cox had to